got dry weather. I gotta go outside.
He wants you to go places, do things.
Jesus Christ.
Stay inside with a remote.
I know that.
Get that, Paul.
Kind of a small house tonight.
I need to have a figure.
They're only here because they have to be.
How you doing, sir?
This was right before we went inside. He was laughing.
You leaving your glasses on there, Slick?
Say what? Oh, I meant to put these in my truck at such a.
Did all the investigation. They pulling it. If you don't pull it,
Sometimes it looks like it's a washout, and then it looks like you get 30, 40, 50%. That's all it is, 50%. Where you at?
Don't mess with her now, 'cause she's gonna be living, over in Cameron Terrace, whatever you need.
Dr. Mitch.
They kick her out of that house over there that week, she gonna come live with us. Hey, how you doing, pal? Say something nice, eh?
It's been 3 weeks, man. I still, when I look at it, I get like, wow, I didn't know that. That's cool. Nobody knew it, not even his.
Hello, Dr. Carnell. How are you?
You give out a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
For the whole school.
I'm fine, thank you. I always look forward to getting my annual Say Something Nice pin. Let me have one for my assistant, please.
Nobody.
Thank you. We'll say something nice to each other.
Oh, good. Hey, how you doing, sir? Thank you, Con.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
I don't have anything to drink. You want something to drink?
You decide to go and
I'm
get
trying
the
yours
ones.
tonight.
If there's no more, then I'm
Said
gonna
peanut
get
butter in it, right?
you left me.
Look at Drew's, he's ahead on that, because he's advanced, isn't he, or something like that?
All right, guys. Come on.
That's good.
You've done really well.
That's a good idea.
Make it easy.
When is,
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call our city council meeting to order for May the 24th, 2018. I'm going to ask Mr. Todos to please lead us in our prayer and invocation.
Father, we thank you for this day that we come together to do business for the city. Thank you each and everyone gathered here today. We ask you to bless our special forces, Lord, those military abroad and near home. Bless all of our staff here, Lord. Bless all of our responders. Keep them safe. Bless this city. Continue to nourish it with your love and guidance. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask Mr. King to go down and take care of our proclamation for us, sir. Because this fits you so well.
He's gonna stop going. Sweet talk 'em that way. Look, how nice is
I know you come every year to give us an update on this, say something nice today, and we certainly appreciate you doing that, and we do have the proclamation for you, as we usually do. And I think it means so much that people need to stop sometime and think about that a little bit, you know, about how we treat other people and things like that, and that's what you're all about, I think.
That's what we're about.
And
That's
so we appreciate you very much. Madam Clerk, would you read the proclamation, please?
Happy to. A proclamation declaring June as Communications Month in the city of North Charleston and designating June 1st, 2018, and every year henceforth as Say Something Nice Day. Whereas June is designated Communications Month in the United States, as communication is the most important skill we possess as individuals. And whereas tens of millions of workers in the United States are disengaged in their jobs due to poor communication, affecting the economy in excess of an estimated $200 billion per year. And whereas 60% of workers do not receive compliments on the job, leading to worker dissatisfaction. And whereas the city of North Charleston has long believed in the importance of effective communication within its workforce. And whereas the city of North Charleston promotes a sense of community with all of its employees and citizens by encouraging better communications. And whereas the city of North Charleston is committed to maintaining a friendly atmosphere for our employees, citizens, businesses, and visitors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, R. Keith Summey, Mayor of North Charleston, do hereby proclaim June 2018 as Communications Month, and further proclaim June 1st, 2018, and every year henceforth as Say Something Nice Day in the city of North Charleston, and urge all citizens of our great city to participate wholeheartedly in their observance.
Okay, so we'll present this to you, and thank you for all you do and for keeping us in mind every year when you come and keep this in front of us all the time, and this is very important. And the chief of police just made a talk the other day, and all he talked about was communication.
Good for him.
He said that's my theme. I want to communicate with this community, all of it. So I thought that was very important. So we thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
go ahead,
Mr. Mayor, this is our 13th year, as you know. You started it all, and it's a great vision, and sometimes you get discouraged. But I want you to know that coming up on the elevator just a few minutes ago, I met a young lady who said that she said something nice every day. And she works in the city, and I told her then she could be our poster child, because I'm glad to meet someone who says something nice every day. But you do, and you exemplify that, and I want to thank you. And as you know, it has now gone nationwide. We've gotten good publicity and good coverage. Now, if we could just get people to say something nice, we would be on our way. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The first item on the agenda is a request to approve the minutes of the May 10th, 2018 City Council meeting.
Move for approval.
Motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams? Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summey?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 2 has been withdrawn from the agenda by the applicant. Item 3 is the final reading of an ordinance rezoning the property addressed as 4123 South Rhett Avenue from R3 Mobile Home Residential to R2 Multifamily Residential in Council District 7.
Move approval.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 4 is the final reading of an ordinance to rezone the property at 7880 Dorchester Road. TMS number shown from B1 Limited Business to B2 General Business, and concurrently amend the comprehensive plan future land use map for the same parcel, changing it from neighborhood commercial to major business retail in Council District 1.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 5 is the final reading of an ordinance amending portions of the Westcott Plantation Circle PDD Dorchester County TMS numbers shown to revise the conceptual site plan and concurrently amend the comprehensive plan future land use map for parcel 063 from major business retail to multifamily residential in council districts 4 and 9.
Move approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to go on record, that we've had a lot of discussions with the developer as well as the community, and this is changing the overall number of doors from 125 down to 116. And we did talk to the developer that, if they were to come back to ask for more doors, that wouldn't be, more than likely would not be supported. I just wanted that as part of the record, sir.
Thank you,
And
sir.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I'd like to reiterate the point too that this is really a change from a plan that was first formulated and approved by council in 2007 and 8. And among the changes is that we eliminate a gas station and convenience store at the Westcott Circle, and we reduce the number of doors.
I think it's a win for the community.
And to just one more footnote, these things are never easy to bring to fruition. In this case, we got a lot of expert help, very professional help from the planner working for the developer. And for that, Aaron, I know I speak for Mr. Skipper when I say thank you. Yep.
Anything else? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 6 is the final reading of an ordinance amending section 5-10 of the North Charleston zoning regulations in order to make adjustments to the previously established Ashley River Scenic District 3 in council districts 5 and 10.
Move for approval.
Got a
Second.
motion, got a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
And Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 7 is the final reading of an ordinance amending Article 3, subsection 2-98G of the Municipal Code of the City of North Charleston, allowing the mayor to settle claims equal to or less than $7,500.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 8 is the final reading of an ordinance authorizing the sale of not to exceed $22 million of limited obligation bonds.
Move approval.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
No.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
No.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-2. Item 9 is the first reading and a public hearing for an ordinance adopting a bill to be entitled the Budget Ordinance of the City of North Charleston, South Carolina, fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019.
Your motion. So moved.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I want to thank each and everyone here and yourself for the support of the amendment to this for the 2 mills to be removed at the expiration of the 10-year bond, or the 10-year debt service. Thank you, Mr. Legal, for that simplicity and under.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call. Yes. Public hearing. This is an advertised public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please come forward, state your name and address, and give us your remarks. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Hearing none, do we need a roll call? Roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously for first reading. Item 10 is the first reading of an ordinance adopting a new stormwater management utility fees and providing for the classification of real property subject to such fees.
Your motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I think it's long past due that we finally implemented something to try to assist us with our citywide drainage issues and such. And we are still, I believe, the cheapest within the low country, I would say, and probably cheaper than many others.
You're right, and I don't think any of us truly understand what has happened in the last years, but there's more water being collected than we've ever seen. We have seen some resolutions that have helped, and hopefully we'll be able to see more of those resolutions help as well. Any other discussion? Is this a public hearing as well?
No, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Virginia Jameson, District 3. Mr. Mayor, when we were in budget, I had hoped that we would gradually go up on the ERUs for our residents. I know that we need this funding, but again, I thought that we were going to gradually increase the cost to our citizens. So, Mr. Mayor, I will be voting no on this adoption.
Yes, ma'am. Hope you get some money for your district. All right, let's go.
If I get some money, I'll send it to the mayor.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sir, I think I messed up on my recording, but I've got it. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
No.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries for first reading. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute documents to accept the transfer of property known as Oak Leaf Community Center, TMS 484-00-00325, from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion and a second in discussion. So the public will understand this is an area that the Housing Authority had some homes up by the old Stall High School. They have since sold the homes individually. There was a small park that they had made a recreation park for young children to play in. And so we're now taking that over for maintenance. so that the community will still have the park for use. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
may we take items 12 through 15 by title only?
Without objection, we'll take items 12 through 15, title only.
Item 12 is a resolution authorizing the city to accept the 2018 South Carolina Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism's Parks and Recreation Development Fund grant to benefit the North Charleston Recreation Department. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to a master services agreement allowing the North Charleston Fire Department to purchase electronic patient care reporting software. Item 14 is a resolution accepting Paddy Field Way, Flooded Field Drive, Sickle Drive, Wooden Pestle Drive, and portions of Transplanter Circle and Seed Street into the city system for maintenance. And item 15 is a resolution accepting portions of Vinson Alley and Adry Alley into the city system for public maintenance, or for maintenance, sorry.
Move approval. Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 16 is a request to use the non-standard service fund with SCE&G for the new intermodal facility.
Move for approval.
Second. Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Those of you who haven't had an opportunity to ride by and look at the building, it's coming along real well, and I think it's something that the entire area, not just North Charleston, is going to be proud of. Clerk, please go. Yes, sir.
Is there any provision to try to lower that street so we can get the trucks out of that Gainer Avenue and all?
Well, that's something that we're working on. If you recall, our friends at the State Port Authority has agreed to build an overpass in that area. Us getting the funds yet has been another story, but one of 3 overpasses that they're supposed to build to help us with truck traffic. If that occurs, Bob, that is going to help us eliminate that situation.
The
If
overpass
it doesn't occur, we'll be going to court.
They were building three overpasses on Rivers Avenue, North Red Avenue, and this one here?
Got one on Rivers up at 9 Mile, what we call 9 Mile.
Yeah.
And then
North
one
Red.
at 7 Mile, and then one at North Red at the rail crossing.
But the problem is we're going to be opening the train station before they do that. And the people, I went to a meeting on Liberty Hill the other night, and they really uptight about it over there. Those trucks and all coming down Gainer Avenue.
Well, I think the trucks were going under there, but they've had to close it off for the construction.
No, the big trucks can't get underneath. The gasoline trucks can, but the big trucks can't get underneath. And,
We're going, hopefully we've been in correspondence with the Port Authority, asking them when can we expect some more conversation about the commitment, but we haven't gotten a response yet.
well, the same traffic is coming from the train station to be coming out with the trucks too, Mayor, the ones that can get out of there underneath that underneath that bridge. And that's going to present a problem there at the red light there on Durand Avenue and Rivers Avenue.
Well, if the overpass is there, Bob, it won't, because that overpass will carry all the way
Yeah,
past.
but Mayor, they ain't going to be building that overpass time we get it. It'll be years before they build an overpass there.
Well, they're supposed to have them built or the money in our hand prior to the opening of.
Well, even if they started now, Mayor, there wouldn't be enough time to build it.
And I realize that, but I think what the general public has to remember, this was not our project. This was a project by another organization, and we had to bail it out to build the train station,
Right.
is the bottom line. And so we're going to get that completed. And the traffic, we will continue to work. I don't think the larger trucks, quite honestly, were going the other way anyway. And so that hasn't changed. We will be able to get the gas trucks to go out the other way the way it was prior to. And then when the improvement of the road, we'll be able to take care of it all together. Yes,
Mr. Mayor, the intended exit was closed off by the housing project over
Right.
there.
that's right. Mixing projects.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to go out to Durant, which is not supposed to have any truck traffic either. So we're going to figure it out. Anything else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison? Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 17 is a request to award a bid for the construction of the new North Charleston Dorchester School District 2 Aquatic Center Complex to the low bidder Brantley Construction Services, LLC, in the amount of $21,016,500, and to the Brownstone Construction Group to perform project management in the amount of $321,000.
Move approval, Mr.
Second.
Mayor.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I think we need to note the fact that this project is about $8 million over budget. We were going to spend $13 million of 21, plus the operations.
You haven't subtracted their 7.5 yet, Bob, so it is over budget, but it's not over any 8 million.
Well, if it's 21 million, right?
That's correct.
It was, we weren't going to spend 13 million. We were going to match the 7.5 million that Dorchester County gave us.
Right, well, if you...
Which would have been 15 million.
Right.
That would have been 15. It is over budget, but not, Mr. King, 8 million.
Well, I think, unfortunately, recently, in the last 2 to 3 years, by the time we develop a budget on a project, the construction costs in this area have skyrocketed. The cost of concrete right now is totally unbelievable. So, you know, we have a choice. Either we move forward with the project or we cut the project off. If we cut the project off, we got to give the school district their $7.5 million back. And I don't think any of us want to do that. The Aquatic Center is not just going to be a place for swimming to take place and lessons to take place. One of the reasons we're building it is to bring in swim meets from across not only the state but the southeast, where we can bring people to the area. They will be staying at hotels and motels and eating in our food and beverage locations and bring in additional revenue to the city to help offset some of the operational costs. It's going to be a wonderful facility. I think it's something all of us will be proud of. And at the end of the day, it's going to benefit our community, both as a facility that's generating use by the public, but it's also going to generate additional revenue that helps us operate the city.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could add to that, one of the features of this project, something that you insisted on, is a new ingress-egress route connecting the Fort Dorchester High School campus to Patriot. We're seeing some traffic congestion there, particularly in the morning. This will alleviate a lot of that congestion. But more importantly, Fort Dorchester now, during the school year, has right at 4,000 people on that campus with one limited way in and out. This will enhance the public safety aspects of the campus.
Absolutely, and it's something that we have been pushing for at least 7 or 8 years on getting a second entry, basically purely for safety reasons. In case something were to happen, God knows we don't want it to, but it's happening all over the country, unfortunately. If something were to happen, we've got a way to evacuate that campus in a more meaningful way.
Mr. Mayor, since we mentioned Fort Dorchester, the Dorchester 2 schools are graduating Saturday from the Coliseum. I don't know what they would have done without that Coliseum. Because you got Ashley Ridge, Somerville, and Fort Dorchester graduating all in the same day.
And that traffic, those parents coming in and out is tough, but we appreciate them paying us to use that facility to have their graduations there. So it works out for us pretty good.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
With all respect and for the discussion that's on the floor about this project, it's a quality project. I know it's going to be a quality amenity for the city. But I stand to make it clear, my rationale behind this, I understand the money where it comes from. I know it's the accommodations tax monies and things of that being used for it and matching funds. However, my concerns were the operational costs thereafter for the city. Nonetheless, you mentioned, I think, one of the most critical points to my biggest concern for our city going forward, and that is the cost of projects. And I would love for us to try to sit down and discuss in the near future how we can get our hands around projects that we contemplate doing for the city and attacking it in some aggressive manner to avoid these continuous increases, inflated costs that exceed millions of dollars over a short period of time. You know, whether it be due to economic situations, prices of concrete, steel, or what have you. And I realize contractors can't give a bid today and set it indefinite if we don't start for 18 months. That's reasonable to understand. But it seems astronomical that the price increases that are going on these projects, it's unfathomable to me. I cannot comprehend it. And
well, I think the response to that is everything in this world seems to be cyclical. In 2007, when the market went down considerably, we were able to borrow money to do projects at 2.5%. Cost of construction, because people were just trying to get work for their people, was down probably 15% for what it was in 2006. But now as the economy has regrouped and started going up and more construction's been going on, and a tough labor market, we've seen the cost of construction go up unbelievably. I had a gentleman tell me today the cost of cement here compared to the cost of cement somewhere else in this country is almost 2 times the amount of money. And unfortunately, in a lot of things in life, it's market driven. But I think most forecasters will tell us that we're going to see a downturn in the economy within the next year or two, and hopefully the projects that we've allocated the money that hasn't been constructed yet, we'll see a savings on some of those that we can utilize in other projects. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you guys know, of course, I support this project, but once again, I want to go on record saying that my concern is minority companies getting at least 25% of this $21 million that we're actually awarding the Brantley Construction Service Company. And even moving forward with a lot of the other larger projects that we have, that we would take a close look and make an initiative to make sure that we seek out minority companies to start doing more business with the city.
Well, in this particular one, the award for the $321,000 is a minority business.
Yes, Brownstone.
For the management. The other issue is that my understanding, this particular company will have at least 25% minority participation.
Yes, Ms. Denise, yeah, she explained that at the committee meeting, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, moving forward.
This one meets our need.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Mayor, I think Denise said she'd be monitoring this and giving us updates. Yeah.
Very good. Is everybody ready to vote now? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
No.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
No.
I'm sorry. Let me
Ms.
start.
Jameson, no.
Well, that's what I had. Mr. Brown's yes. Ms. Jerome is yes. Ms. Jamison is no. Mr. Brinson is
Yes.
Mr. Olds?
No.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 8-2. Item 18 is a request to approve these reappointments to the North Charleston Sewer District.
Move for approval.
I was going to say their names.
Miranda Doctor, Clifford Johnson, and George Combs. All in favor?
No move.
We have a motion, clerk, call the roll.
All right. Big hurry all of a sudden. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Mayor Summy,
Yes,
We have
ma'am.
one speaker.
very seldom we see committee members that we appoint show up to the meeting. So I would just like to recognize
You are, man.
2 members that showed up to be
And
recognized.
Ms. Doctor, she's from my district. So
Yes, I know, I'm looking. It's so nice for y'all to be here, because that usually don't happen. Because I asked Mr. Gomes, why you here? He said, now I know. And thank y'all again for wanting to serve.
Let me say something about Ms. Doctor. I can't resist this. She should run our meetings. When you go into her community meetings, she tells you it's an hour. At the end of that hour, you cut off. It's gone. And so we do thank each of these 3 for the service they give us in the Public Service District. You know, the years ago, it was a competitive thing between the Public Service District and the city. And today we work hand in hand to try to provide the service for the people that we have. I think there's roughly, Mr. Mack, about 3,500 people still living in the district. And all the others have annexed. They've been transferring their property that was in their name to the city. So it's a very unusual working relationship between a public service district and a municipality. And so we have been extremely fortunate to do that. We do have one request to speak, but before we do, I hope all of y'all had an opportunity to. Yes, sir.
The reason Mr. Johnson is not here tonight, he had some minor surgery today. He would have been here for
Thank you for that information. Hope all of you had a chance to read this week where they did a study since 2000 on the growth of municipalities, and that the city of Charleston ranked 3rd in the nation. City of North Charleston ranked 5th in the nation. And it was quite astounding to see the growth that we've had, and it was a 2-way growth. One was it went down a few points in poverty. It went up in overall income. The population was increased by about 39%. Price of housing, of course, went up with the new population growth, but
And unemployment went down, man.
and unemployment went down. So I think it was a good report, and those of you who've been here for a long period of time need to understand that you should be proud of that information because it has not been an easy road. But we, for a young city, and most people still don't remember, we're not 50 years old yet, but yet to be ranked in the top 5 in the nation is something that we should take a lot of pride in.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I think that was the Prosperity Index.
Mhm.
We had become the 5th most prosperous as defined by education, poverty, well-paying jobs. There's a whole matrix of very positive factors. We should be proud of that, and we should be grateful for, your leadership. But the one thing that I was most proud of this week is you're telling the state to fix that traffic issue that they created to accommodate Mount Pleasant. That was leadership. I have constituents way up Dorchester Road talking about their commute instantly increased by an hour. And that was some classic unintended consequences, Mr. Mayor, and it's just a real shame that the state undertook those changes without consulting with this city.
Well, today was a very bad day for traffic movement. And I actually got a phone call from one of the reporters, Mr. Knapp, and he was wanting to check on how we were doing with traffic. And I answered it with a message and said, "This is Mayor Summey. I'd love to talk to you, but I'm too busy directing traffic." So, there's no easy solution to anything, but the newspaper basically said this morning that I was doing it out of my concern for the citizens of North Charleston. Well, that's my job. But to be honest with you, only about 10% of the traffic headed across to the East Cooper in the mornings is from North Charleston. The rest come from Somerville, they come from West Ashley, they come from Goose Creek, and in Moncks Corner. They come that way to get to work. But, we appreciate the solution that they're trying to work out, but I can tell you, I've never seen a group of more egotistical people than the engineers that work for the State Highway Department. I mean, they work for me, I'd fire them, but they don't. Okay. We have a request to speak.
We do. From Rainique Sayas.
Welcome. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to give us your remarks.
My name is Rainique Sayas. I live at 7806 Ginger Lane, North Charleston. And good evening. I am Rainique Sayas. I am from Charity Missionary Baptist Church, and I am a member of CAJM. I moved to North Charleston in 2015, and I was shocked to find that even with a Section 8 voucher, there was still very limited housing choices for me. Most landlords were still not willing to accept a voucher or wanted a verified income making 3 times the amount of the rent, which for me was nearly impossible. I was urged by housing officials that maybe I should just go home. I barely made my 60-day with 30-day extension timeline for finding a home. I was graced with my current living arrangement, despite not having sufficient space for my growing children and living in an area where the school is not a standard I would choose for my children. I am one of the 18,000 who travel to Mount Pleasant daily for work and transfer my children to school. It is not an easy task, nor is it cost-effective for a single mother's budget. The cost of housing is tremendously ridiculous, even with help. I still struggle to provide for my children the basic essentials and household expenses. I've worked sometimes 2 and even 3 jobs. periodically just to keep afloat. Most of the people I know here can't even afford a place of their own. And they're living place to place or sharing homes with family. And even then, living conditions are poor. Coming from California, I thought that life here would be a little more affordable and way more comfortable. But it seems as though Charleston is divided into two parts, the rich and the poor, or the black and the white. Even though I have assistance, I can't afford to live comfortably. As hard as I work to provide for my kids, it seems to make a difference. Mayor Sumney, Cajun has tried to schedule with you more than 4 times. We called and emailed to schedule with you. I urge you to meet with us to discuss the Regional Housing Trust Fund. And I am one of the over 200,000 citizens that can't afford to live here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything else to come before the body?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you're doing a wonderful job for this city. Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned.
I'm gonna call you about the R1A, because this last one, the guy was, because I caught him in a lot of lies.